Hey, what's up, world? Another episode of Santi Speaks here, but we are going to push into the comedy section of my life. So, over the last 20 or so years, I've been writing down, actually, on my phone, my little Galaxy S10 here. I've been writing down, I use notes, notepad or whatever it's called. And I have a couple different sections, and I have one section called jokes, funny stuff, things that make me happy, life advice. I have all these different things that I write down. I live in my head. I don't live in the secular world anymore. I don't watch TV. I don't watch. I watch YouTube to learn from other people. I don't watch AI on YouTube. I like to hear real people, real life experiences, and that's getting to be less and less the more and more we progress. If that's what you want to call it, it's more of a digress. Uh, But what I've done is I always take these notes. So now it's time to pass them along, and that's what I'm doing. I don't know if you can hear outside. I've got jazz on up here, so I don't hear all that. Um, I'm very blessed, for where I am now, coming from where I come from. Born and raised in an area that became a hood, and I survived it through many lessons of life, life's toughest lessons from all the tough stuff, all the tough stuff that you see in the movies, it all comes from somewhere, right? But now I don't live there. So I went from the hood to the hills, what I call the Naw till now, from Saginaw. 1990, I think it was like 1991, they started passing around the term Sag Nasty. Because it was nasty. It was a terrible place. It was violent. Look it up. Saginaw, 1990. Look up Saginaw 1989 gangs, and the first thing that's going to pop up is a whole lot of information. Saginaw went crazy. They pushed out all the jobs. All the work went out. Sent it overseas. No jobs. All the factories, well, not all of them, but a great deal shut down. And at the same time, we brought crack cocaine into the societies. That's got to be intentional, because it ain't no drug heads going out there and starting a crack cocaine business. That is intentionally brought in and dropped off. That's a crime against society right there. But yep, jobs are out, crack is in. A lot of families moved out and just left their homes. Kind of like in 2008, we went through a fallout here in Michigan, and a lot of people just left. The banks collapsed, or so we were told. But right now, we got a lot of birds singing outside, so that's a good sign, good life. They're a little loud. They're a little bit annoying, but they're an absolute blessing. So this is my second run at my second attempt at introducing what it is that I'm doing, some things that I'm sharing. Now, for all purposes of legality, some of these ideas are legit, and some of them are made up. First, I want to talk about marijuana. What did we do to our society? This is crazy. Now, I see, like in Thailand right now, 2025, June or July or somewhere around there. Thailand, like, they were one of the last countries on board to be like, okay, marijuana is legal. Fine, you can have it your own way. Pot shops, just like in the United States, everywhere. Got rid of 7-Eleven and brought in marijuana. Well, it's back to illegal. Which, I mean, when they made marijuana legal in Michigan, I was like, yeah, moving back to Michigan. I never used it as a child. In fact, you know what? This is an embarrassing story right here. This isn't even, I'm looking at a list of things on my screen. You can't see it, but these are a list of things I want to chat about. And this is an atrocity of life. So out of high, I did very poorly in school, and I was highly distracted by life and by my environment. And it was not a good distraction. It was a distraction of fear. It was fear-based. A lot of gang activity going on around these times of high school and things like that. But I knew I was going to join the Marine Corps right after high school. And I didn't even know that you had to drug test to get into the Marines. But my father had told me don't drink, don't use drugs, because the only thing worse than getting beat up is getting beat up and you can't defend yourself because you're drunk or high. So he's always like, you can pretend like you're doing it, but don't do it, because it'll take you someplace that you lose control. And that's a true story. You do lose control. So if you're about to be accosted or assaulted, you do not want to be intoxicated, because you will not win that one. And so I took that to heart, and so I stayed away, and I never used the marijuana. I like it how some people call it the marijuana, the weed. It ain't weed. You know what weed is? Do you know what the definition of weed is? It's a plant in your garden that you don't want. They're all plants, 100%. There is no distinction. They're all plant life. A weed is something that is in your garden. If you're growing tomatoes and that's all you want to grow, and you get a maple tree coming up, that is now a weed. You pull it because you don't want it there. That's what weed means. So weed got a bad name, kind of. But I joined the Marines, and like when you first land in boot camp, the introduction is terrible. It's not a warm and friendly welcome. It's funny. There's a movie called Full Metal Jacket that had come out previously to me joining the Marines back in the early 90s. And it was called Full Metal Jacket. My father would not let me go to the movies and see it because it was riddled with violence. It was Vietnam War. He had served in Vietnam, and he was not ready to talk about the things that had happened. However, I probably wouldn't have joined if I seen that movie first, because the first half of it is all about Marine Corps boot camp, and it's pretty spot on. I mean, it's changed a little bit to protect young recruits, but it's pretty spot on. So if you ever wonder what Marine Corps boot camp was like, give it a look, and it's close. But anyway, when you first land and you go through receiving, I believe it's called, you're standing in this room. It's all red. The walls are red. The floor is red. The ceiling's probably white, but the door is red. And it's a room of intimidation. It is. It's terrible. It's a room of intimidation. And the drill instructor, you're all standing there at attention, and drill instructors are yelling at you. They're trying to weed out everybody. Weed them out. Get it? There you go. Weed them out. They're trying to get rid of anybody that is weak, is broken, won't make it, because you start maybe with 80 people, and they know that they can only graduate 50 or so. They have to break out the unsuccessful ones. But there's no way I could return to Sac Nasty, so I had to push forward. I had to persevere, and the drill instructors are yelling at you, and one of the elements is if you have used marijuana, it's okay. It can't be in your system, but like you used it months and months before or a year before, if you just tested it out, then it's like, okay. But if it pops up in your urine, it's a mark against you. You get kicked out. And so they drug test you. But also with drug testing, they ask you to testify against yourself. Did you use marijuana ever in your life? Listen, if you have never used it, then you get, there's a ribbon that you get, an extra ribbon, an award for not using drugs. True story. I didn't know this. I recently figured it out. And they broke me. They made me lie against myself. That's an atrocity. That's a crime. I want my award because I had never used it. But if they're like, if you've ever used it, raise your hand right now. And so like a couple, the people are getting scared, because they're like telling you what they're going to do to you. It's all lies. And before I went, I'm telling you, my recruiter was even like, don't break. Don't do it. Don't confess. Don't do it. He didn't explain to me. He didn't elaborate to the point of they're lying. And he's just like, my recruiter, I can't remember his name now. I used to remember it all the time, but really good guy. Anyway, he was like, "Don't break, don't break." But all these guys like, yes sir, I used it, 2 years ago at my cousin's birthday party. They're like, all right, you can stay if you pass the drug test, but you ain't getting that ribbon. And there were like 5 of us left that were like, nah, I never used it. And so now they take you into another room, and there's like 3 drill instructors yelling at you, trying to break you. I was like, yeah, I used it, a couple years ago. Yes, sir. I never used it, but they hounded me so hard. Anyway, I just want to share that quick story before I get into the humorous. That's not funny. that's horrifying, right? But this is what THC does to your brain. If for anybody that's never used it, what THC does to the brain after you smoke it, especially the first time, but like anything else, it builds up and you need more and more and more and more. Just like alcohol, you have a drink, the first beer you ever have, makes you drunk, but the next day you need a 12-pack. I'm joking. It's all about jokes. This is nothing serious. This is just for entertainment purposes only. THC, when you first use it, even there afterwards, what it does, the effects, what the effects of THC are really like are. What was I saying? What? Did you hear that? What was that? What was I saying? Right there. That's it. That's marijuana in a nutshell. And all right, so I'm gonna share a little story, and it could be true or not. Many years ago, I had a hard job, and it was a medical marijuana situation, and work was stressful. I was going through a lot, and I was driving on my way home from work, and you know how long things take to hit. If you inhale it, it takes about 2 minutes. If you eat it, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour. And we're on the highway, we was driving, and we're on our way home from work. Me and a buddy of mine, I pick him up, drop him off. And he had some gummies, and he's like, hey, man, why don't you take these right now? And by the time you get home, you'll be all in a good place. And I was like, nah, I'm not really my thing. And he was like, no, go ahead, man, go ahead. I'm telling you, it's not that much, just a little bit. And I had smoked before, but I'd never used the edible version. And I was like, oh, all right, whatever. It's a 10-minute ride home. But it was funny because there was a traffic accident, and we got stuck on the highway, and it hit on the highway. And that's when another element of marijuana can kick in. If you ain't in the right place, what it does is it really affects everything. It affects your mood. If you're in a bad mood, it might intensify your bad mood. Or it might make you contemplate on that bad mood. Unrealistically, definitely unrealistically. And if you got some worries, they call it in the industry paranoia. And if you got some worries, it's going to intensify that paranoia, that worry. But so he was driving, and it hit, and we're on the highway, and I don't know what is happening because we're stuck in traffic because there's an accident, and we know the police are up there. And so it goes back to that situation of what was I saying, because I'm like, are we still on the highway? Are we moving? I can't tell if we're moving. Do I got my seatbelt on? You got your seatbelt on? What did you give me? Who are you? Where are we going? Did we go to work yet? I'm like, uh-oh, man. I see the police, man. We're getting pulled over. And he's like, man, settle down. The police are up there. They're working that accident. I'm in the driver's seat losing my mind. Over and over and over again. It's a 10-minute ride home, but it was a bad accident. They had to clear the highway. It took us about 45 minutes to get through it. I'm saying gummies are not a good thing. That was my first experience with gummies. I'm like, gummies are not a good thing. I'm stuck in traffic. I'm in the passenger seat, but over and over, I'm like, do I got my seatbelt on? I see the police. I see those state lights. I'm like, oh man, do I got my seatbelt on? Are we moving? Are we moving? Have we moved yet? How long we been here? I gotta pee. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. He's like, man, you're like a child. I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. What was I saying? And we were there, so we were there for so long. You could tell other people in the cars next to us. You could tell that their gummies were kicking in too. People were riding up next to you. They're like, "Hey man, you got anything to eat? You got anything to drink?" Like, nah, man. Where are we going? Do I know you? Are we following you? What's happening? Did we get in an accident? What's going on? That's marijuana, and that's the paranoia of it. It's not friendly. It's not fun. And if you get into a confusing situation, it'll really mess you up. You know, I've even been at same guy. I got to stop hanging out with this guy. I was 100% sober, and I was with him, and he was taking his gummies or his edibles, whatever they were, and he was driving. And we came to a 4-way stop, and I could tell he had taken too much because we had a 4-way stop and there was nobody there, nobody coming. But he kept looking. He looked to the right and he looked to the left, and then he'd be like, "Did I look this way?" And he'd look to the right again. Then he'd check the rearview mirror. I'm like, that has nothing to do with the 4-way stop, dude. He's like, "Did you hear something? You hear that? Where we at? Where are we going?" I'm like, man, let me drive. Very dangerous. Do not use drugs or drink and drive. It's very dangerous. I think alcohol, like even in a bar or an emotional status, alcohol makes you more aggressive and angry. Marijuana makes you very chill, very relaxed, and you kind of don't care about what's going on around you. And maybe because you always forget what's happening around you. Like, did I go yet? I think I'm hungry. Did I say I was hungry? Did I? I think I gotta go to the bathroom. Never mind, I ain't gotta go to the bathroom. I'm good. Alcohol makes you kind of aggressive and ragey, but I can definitely see in society today that marijuana has played a huge part in what is wrong. Everybody's like, nobody wants to work. This generation doesn't want to work. They want to work. They just don't remember they want to work. Yeah, it's funny because this generation be like, one of the biggest concerns about looking for a job is that they're like, oh man, does it say anywhere in there about drug testing? hey man, you guys hiring? I'm looking for a job. You guys hiring? Hey, do they drug test? People are more concerned about their marijuana than they are the job. Which is sad because, there's places you can go. I think you can probably buy it online. I'm sure you can. They sell fake urine. That's crazy. They sell fake urine so that you can pass a drug test. I've heard about it, ways of doing it, but that's just madness that people are willing to go to those lengths to escape the realities of this world. I understand it though. When you use it, you don't care about your problems. You gotta step out of it for a little while though. You gotta get out of the cloud, and you gotta care about your problems for a little while. I definitely stopped using it when I'd go to the dispensary. When I was growing up, there was a 7-Eleven on every corner. You could get a Slurpee. Nowadays, there's a dispensary on every corner. That's scary. I don't even like going to work because the whole city smells like pot. There's you can tell a difference between good weed and bad weed when it comes to how it smells. Some of it smells and you'd be like, if you haven't smoked in a long time and you enjoyed it, that's where I'm at. I enjoyed it, but it was taking more control of me than I wanted it to. And so I stepped away, and I've been away from it for several years now. All right, that's a lie. For about a year and a half. And but when I stepped away, you can tell the difference between good and bad. It's like somebody's cooking. They burn the food, that's bad. But if the meal's right, it's right. And you can tell. You can even smell if you're familiar if they're smoking through a battery. That is crazy. these sticks that they smoke through a battery. I know it's popular, but I stopped smoking when I go into the cannabis store, and it's like you could get 50 milligrams for like $1. I was like, that's not right. That's not good. What is happening? Why is it so cheap? And because I was public school educated, I don't really understand what the whole milligram ratio is, but I know where it started, and that is nowhere near where it started. That's like going out and buying a steak for 75 cents. You shouldn't be able to buy a large steak today in 2025 for 75 cents. Buying 50 milligrams of marijuana for $1, and then if you do it on the right day, they'll be like, oh, but we got deals on this and this today, so you can get 6 of them for $2. Like, man, they're putting something bad in there. That is not regular THC. I don't know what that is in there, but something's happening. So I was like, nah, that's too good to be true. And if my dad taught me, if it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. So something's going on. But you go into a dispensary nowadays, and it's strange. It's really weird. To me, it's like the colors and everything, the advertisement, the marketing, the abundance. It'd be like a kid from the Congo going into Toys R Us. It'd be like, what am I doing? What is happening? I didn't even know all this existed. You got everything here. You got food, you got drinks, you got lollipops, you got bubble gum, you got water. I mean, everything is tainted now. When I grew up, it was, you just went up to the one dude that had some, and people were like, hey, man, let me get 1 or 2 of these. They call them the J's. You got a J or 2. I never used it, but I know a lot of my friends did, and they're like, hey, man, let me get 2 J's, $10. Like, now they're like, how many milligrams do you want? I'm like, man, I went to public school. I don't know what a milligram looks like. What are you talking about? Yeah, and there's varieties. Like, some wake you up, some put you to sleep, some taste different, some way different. Some have candy in. It's crazy. It's like shopping for paint or carpet. You go to Lowe's and you're like, man, this is overwhelming. There's too much. I'm like, man, why don't you just recommend something to me? You look like a stable person. I need a sample board. Like, I need a board that I can see the effects of everything laid out. I need a vision chart. But all right, well, that's going to wrap it up for my experience with the THC. Hope you found some entertainment there, but that's all I got for it today. Peace.